Hello and welcome back to our inventory system series. Previously we started work on our action menu. In fact, we managed to make the widget for it. In this episode we're going to work on making the drop one and drop all buttons, allowing us to drop items from our inventory back into the world. So let's get started. Okay, so in our action menu we need to add in the ability to make these buttons actually do something. So let's start off with the drop one and drop all. The drop one and drop all will need to make a server call function to our inventory component and tell them to drop our items. So let's go ahead and make that a thing on our inventory system itself. Now in here we're going to create on the event graph a custom event, and you're going to call it server underscore remove, and we're going to just zoom in on that, and we'll give this a few inputs here for things that we're going to need. We're going to need to know what index it is we want to remove, so that would be a simple integer index. Next we need to know whether or not we're going to remove just one or the whole stack. We've got buttons for both. We're going to make sure that is accounted for here, so we'll do remove whole stack, and we're going to make that a boolean, so it's either yes or no. And the last one we're going to add is take account of the third option, which is use button, which is going to consume it. So we're going to add another boolean to this, and we're going to say this as is consumed. Okay, so next we've got that in there. We need to make this one replicatable, so go over here, replicates, and change this to run on server, and hit compile. Now I want to create my remove from inventory event. So it's going to remove from inventory, and in here we need to have the same inputs that we had on our server remove event that we made. So click on remove from inventory, go to inputs, and we're going to add in the index, which is going to be a int, and we're going to add the remove whole stack as a boolean, and also another boolean for is consumed. Okay, and this is kind of the pattern with all these sort of commands that you see here, where if you want to do anything to a centralized storage such as inventory component, you need to tell the server that you want to do it and let the server actually handle the code and then send it back. That's how it kind of works for all these sort of things. So on this remove from inventory, you've got these few set up, and we're going to go inside and mess about with setting up our index. So we need to get our index, we need to get our content, so get content, and in here we need to do get, and we do get a copy, and we'll choose the index from that, and we can just split this end point here, split that, and get item.id and quantity separate. And I'm just going to store these as two separate local values. So item ID, drag out, promote to local variable, and call it local item, and also promote this one to local variable and do local quantity. And plug those two in. Okay, so next we're going to have is a sequence. The sequence is because we need to tell it to actually do something, and then we have to tell everyone else that we've done it and update themselves. So then 0 will be the actual work, and then 1 will be the update. So on the actual work part, on then 0, we're going to start off with a branch, because we need to know whether or not we are removing the whole stack from our system here. Now we could just do remove whole stack, but there's another occasion where we're going to actually be removing the whole stack, and that is if our quantity is equal to 1. Because if we remove 1 from it, that's essentially moving the whole stack. So we need to make sure that this is going to be either this is going to be the case, or whether or not the local quantity here is equal to 1. If it is, that is still the same as removing the whole stack. So we'll put that in condition there, and we've got on the true here. Actually, let's start off with the false. So we're just dropping 1 on in the scene here. So the first thing we need to do is get our content, and we are going to get a copy, not copy, sorry, a reference. Get a reference. Difference being between copy and reference is with a reference, if you change any of the values inside of it, it will update in the source as well, where the copy will just change it in the copy version only. So get that one, and I'm going to get the index. So just drag out, search for index, and there it is. And we're going to take this and do set members in f slot struct and put that into false. And on the members here, you go to the right hand side, you can choose what pins we want to show, and we want to show the quantity here. Because all we want to do is remove one from it, because this is just the drop one part. So with the get there, we're going to take that get from there again, do break, get the current quantity, and just subtract one from it. So subtract, one. And that can go back into our quantity there. And then because it's a reference, it will update its original. Well, next we're going to go along and do the is consumed bit. So right click, do is consumed, and put that into a branch. Now if it was consumed, we do not want to drop the item into our world, but if it isn't consumed, we do want to drop it in the world in front of the player so they can pick up again if they so wish and desire. So for that, I want to make another function for this, or event rather, on our event graph, and do another one for server drop item. Now this is a server call because we need to make sure it's the server that is spawning it in, because only the server can spawn stuff. So run on server for that, and this thing needs to know what item and how many is it dropping. So we're going to go in here, add our two items in here. So item ID is the first one, which is a name, and the last one is going to be quantity. Be how many we want to drop as an integer. We'll come back to this in a moment, but let's just put it back into our remove here, and let's put in here server drop item and plug that in to false. If it's consumed, you don't want to drop anything. You want to just use it up. So that's how that works. Okay. Need to plug in the item ID. Might be just item. Yep. Get local item. And put that into item ID. And the quantity will be just one. Just going to drop one in this case. Okay. Next, we're going to go up and do the dropping all of them. So in this case, we're not going to just change and set members in our content here. We're just going to change the entire array index. So get content, and we'll do set array element, and we'll plug that into true. Index is going to be the same as this one, so index up there. But split the item here, and you want to leave it as none, or in this case just delete it and have it empty, and item quantity be set to 0, removing the whole lot. And then you want to do another is consumed thing, so take that out and put that back in again. If it's false, you do the exact same thing with dropping an item, but this time rather than just dropping one, we're going to tell it to drop them all. So on quantity here, just drag in your local variable for local quantity. Okay, there we go. So let's go through the server drop item. So the server drop item is going to go for a loop, basically, on for how many it wants to drop. So we need to take the quantity and take one away. Now the reason we've got to take one away is because our for loop is 0 based, but our quantity isn't. So we take one away from that, and therefore we get the exact amount coming through on the for loop. So bear that in mind. Put that in there, and that will be our last index there. Okay, next we want to get the item data associated to this item ID. Now, what we want to do is get this quite frequently, probably. So let's make a function to allow us to get that item. So let's right click, not right click, sorry, go to functions over here, and just search and type in get item data. There we are. And in get item data, you do something pretty simple. All you're doing is taking in a name. This will be item ID, name, and output is going to be the item data struct. Item struct, and we just change that there for data. And as I said, this is going to be quite simple. All you do is do get data table row, plug that in, and just make sure you choose the correct row there. A row found, go to return node and plug in out row. Now I'm going to make this whole thing pure as well. File and save, and go back to my event graph. If I drag that in now, you'll see it comes up as a pure function, and I can just plug that into my item ID there. Now with this data here, I'm going to break this open. So I need to know what is the class I'll be spawning in. So let's expand this open, and we see we've got that item class set up here. So on loop body, we're going to do spawn actor from class and choose this item class. And that's just a matter of where you want to spawn it. So I'm going to make a simple function to get the drop location. So we go to functions, and with this one is get drop location. And this is going to have a single output, which is going to be the actual location we want to place the item. So we'll do location, we call it. Oh, spell that. There we are. Okay, so once we've got that, we need to do a line trace to work out where we want to place this thing. So we do a line trace, because we don't want to put a single spot as well either, because we don't want them to stack on top of each other like a tower if we were standing still. So we can't just say just put it in this position in front of the player. We need to add some more randomization to it to make it feel a little bit more designed. So on this line trace by channel, we're going to first of all get the owner of this component. So get owner, and we're going to get their location, so the player's location in this instance. Oh, get actor location, and what we're going to do is put this just in front of our player character. Okay, so from the get owner here, you're going to do get actor forward vector. Guess which way they're facing, and then I'm going to pick a random unit in front of them. Okay, of this. So I'm going to take this and do random unit vector in cone in degrees. So it gives us the cone's direction. We'll put in a half angle here of 30, and this will give us a randomized direction out of that cone. So I'll multiply that by how far away this is going to be. So multiply that by a float to 150. Okay, so there's our starting point. I'm going to add that onto our actor location here. Get the start point. And the end point is going to be the same thing, but we're going to take a value away. So subtract, and we'll do 500 here. And what this does, it gives the impression of basically a little line trace happening just in front of the player, going down into the ground to find the floor position, which is what we're trying to do. So let's go back over here, and the return node is only going to return something from our out hit, so we'll just break that open and put in the location here for the hit. File, save this. So that's our get drop location. Sorry, let's make this pure as well. Compile that, and let's go back to our spawn actor here for dropping it on the floor. You're going to just right click on spawn transform and split that open, and we're going to add in our get drop location as the location for spawning. Okay, compile there, and that's all the errors gone, and I think that's good to go. So we just need to make sure we hook up everything. So I think we haven't hooked up our server remove, so we're just going to drag in remove from inventory, plug that in, and hook that all up. And then remove from inventory is going to call our server drop item, drop the item into the world, and so on and so forth. Now I did say we also need to make sure we are updating everything. So if we go into here and create another custom event, and we'll call this one a multicast, so MC update. Oh wait, do I already have an MC update? Let's have a look. I do. Excellent. We'll just use the same one. So let's go back to my remove from inventory. Go back to where we've got our sequence there. And we're going to do MC update. And that'll tell all our UI, all the characters, inventory components, all to update. Okay. So let's go ahead and test this out in action. Now, to actually test this out, I need to make sure my action menu is going to call it. So we go to our graph here. This thing knows about the inventory system. So we just need to go to the drop buttons here. So go drop 1, unclicked. I'm going to drag out my inventory system. And I'm going to do server drop item. And it's going to be what item and how many of them. So this would be the item we've got from our index here. No, hold on. Not server drop items, wait, server remove is what we want. Sorry. Server remove. There we go. And yep, so here we need to know the index, which we've got over here. And we're gonna say remove from whole stack. Nope, that's because we want to remove just the one. And let's drop, and is consumed is not true either. We're then gonna go drop all, add on clicks for this one. And we're just gonna copy and paste that back down here. This time we're going to tick remove whole stack. And then finally we're going to do one for the use button. Unclicked, paste that in. And we're going to do is consumed. Okay. But we'll worry about consumption next episode. Let's first of all just test our first two here. So we're going to hit play. And go to our scene here. We're going to pick up a few things. Take all these apples here. And in here, I'm going to open up my menu, right click on it, and do drop 1. Now I've got 9 in there. And if I go into my world here, you should hopefully see the apple class, which I probably haven't set. Hang on, let's double check that. Apple, yeah, item class none. So it does help. I had that set. So let's go to items here. Test item here. We're going to duplicate this. Oh, not duplicate, sorry. Create a child of this. Because we're here to do this one as apple. And I'm going to get an apple from my crystal bridge. So let's go to our scene. Add the bridge. And we're going there. What's up? Am I logged in? It should hopefully be logged me in straight away. Nope. Okay, I'm just going to log in and do this. And in my crystal bridge here, I've already got hold of some things I can use here. So Apple, add that to my project. It is. And we'll just tell our object. Apple. Change this mesh here to our Apple mesh. Okay, now let's make mine a little bit bigger too. And well, actually, we'll just set it to be the default. There you go. Okay, so let's go position that so it's above the ground slightly. Just bring it down. Do it. Okay, and my item data here. Just need to tail my item class here to be Apple. Apple. Save. Right, now let's test that. So if I go into my chest here, take my apples, and go over here, and there, right click, drop 1, and there's the 1 apple. And if I click here and drop all, there's all 9 apples. Okay, and it does mean I can pick them all up again, okay, but I have to make sure when I do that, I have to go into my apple class here, go item data component, and tell it which item it is. So the item data here is apple, and I'm going to go to the look at code here. So you're going to type in here, pick up apple, hit compile and save that. One thing to note is probably our apple here has no collision on it. So normally from Quixel they don't. So if I turn on simple collision, yeah, don't have anything on there. So I'm just going to add collision here to it, add sphere, that'll do. And now if I go up to my chest, Take all these. Right click, drop all. There you all are. And I should be able to pick them all up now. Okay. And I'll pick up these ones too. Okay, there you go. And there we go, we've now got drop one and drop all working. We've still got use to work out and do, but we're going to do that not next episode, but the episode after that. So the next episode, we're going to work on the display message that appears on the screen when we hover our mouse over an item. Then you have to pick it up. So let's get started with that in our next episode, which you can watch right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. All my videos are available early to all supporters over there from just $1 a month. Massive thank you to all my Patreon members and my YouTube supporters for the continued support. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.